and welcome to this video. I hope that you're well. In today's video I'm excited to share with you some of the things that I'm currently studying in order to enhance and develop my Wicca and Witchcraft practice. I'm also going to share with you some of the books that I'm using for my studies. These are not necessarily recommendations because I'm still in the process of reading them and learning from them, so I can't really give a full review yet until I've finished. If you would like me to review any of the books that I've mentioned in this video, then just leave me a message in the comments, and then I will do that when I've finished reading them. So at this point in my practice, I would say that I'm quite comfortable in my craft, so I'm not really focusing on studying Wicca and Witchcraft itself. A lot of the books that I read that are Wicca and Witchcraft related do have a lot of repetitive information in there, so things like Wheel of the Year, moon phases, setting up an altar and altar tools or correspondences, sort of beginner based stuff. So I feel like I've moved beyond that now, so my studies are a little bit more focused. If you are interested in books for beginners or some of my favourite Wicca and Witchcraft books, then I do have videos on that, so I will leave links in the description so you can check those out, or just head over to my homepage, and all the videos are on there. So I decided to film this video next to my witchy bookshelves just because it's got my witchy tools on there and books and things, so it just seemed appropriate for this video. Before I get into it as well, I just wanted to mention that I'm aware that I haven't really talked about my personal craft in terms of my Wicca and Witchcraft path. Mostly because I'm still not really comfortable talking to a camera and sharing too much about myself, so I hope that people can respect that. I will eventually do it when I feel a little bit more confident, and I'm hoping to share a few little bits and pieces during this video. You may also have noticed in previous videos that I tend to use notes or a little bit of a script. Again, just because I still don't feel 100% confident when I'm talking to a camera, it does feel slightly strange. I am going to attempt to do this video without so many notes, etc. So if it does get a little bit rambly, then I apologise, but let's just get on with it. So the things that I'm studying are all topics that complement my practice, and I'm hoping that it might give you some ideas of things that you want to look into as well. So the first topic is astrology. When I was younger, I did used to read the horoscopes in the newspaper with my mum, and I did start to realise that they were all very vague, and you could probably attribute what they were saying to something in your life, so I never really put much stock in them. But my fascination with the night sky and the stars and the planets, etc., just the universe in general, it always continued. It wasn't until a few years ago that I realised just how much there was to astrology. So it's not just the star signs and horoscopes, and I just really wanted to learn a lot more about it. Astrology is definitely an easy link to Wicca and Witchcraft. It's all about unravelling the mysteries of the universe, and how the universe can affect us. So I'm just going to dive straight into the books. There are 3 books that I'm using for my astrology studies. So the first book then is this one, Astrology, Using the Wisdom of the Stars in Your Everyday Life, and this is by Carole and it's from DK Publishers. It is a really big chunky book, but the main thing that I do like about this one is that it is very visual. So all of the information within the book, if I just find a random page, as you can see, it's very bright, very colourful, and it goes through all of the information that you need to know in little sort of sections. So it's not just pages of writing, you've got little blocks of information. So I just find that when I'm studying things, I prefer that information sort of chunked down, and when I write my study notes as well, it is usually bullet points and very chunked information under subheadings and things, and so this book just really appealed to me in the way that it was set out and the way that it was structured. So I think this one is a really good one for beginners as well, just because of that ease of information. The next one then is this one, How to Be an Astrologer. It says everything you need to interpret anyone's birth chart for a complete, accurate and revealing astrological reading. And this one is by Constance Stellas. This one is a little bit more wordy, shall we say, than the other one. If we have a look inside, then all of the information is just in block text, so it's split into chapters, but it's not as chunked down as the other one. The reason that I chose this book then is because, like it says on the front, it's about putting together a chart, an astrological chart, and being able to do astrology readings, and that's something that I want to be able to do. So I've started putting together that for myself. So firstly looking at sun, moon and rising signs, and then delving a little bit deeper into my own birth chart, but then obviously I want to be able to develop on to do that for other people as well. I think as well her name, Constance Stellas, it just really suits astrology, so I don't know if that's her real name or maybe a pen name, but I think it's a really cool name to have with astrology. So that's the second one. The last astrology book then is this one. This is Astrology for Real Life, a workbook for beginners. So this one seems quite obvious as to why I chose this one. So it's for beginners, and like it says, it is a workbook. So I just really love that idea of being able to work through it and just learn as you go through. So on the front it also says a no BS guide for the astro curious. So I think this is probably a really good one for anyone that's wanting to begin in learning astrology. So there is definitely a lot of information in this book as well, and there are little checkpoints and things where it will just sort of quiz your knowledge, test your knowledge, ask you to fill things out, and it does also help with your own personal astrological guide, because it asks you to write in your personal information related to your birth chart and things as well, so you're sort of picking that up as you go along with this book. So that's a really good one as well, and this one is by Theresa Reed. So that's the 3 astrology books that I'm using for my studies. The second thing that I'm studying then is dreams. So there is a little bit of dream interpretation involved in what I'm doing, but I am focusing more on lucid dreaming, prophetic dreaming. I want to be able to actually use dreams in my Wicca and Witchcraft practice. So it involves things like doing nighttime rituals, recording and journaling my dreams. And I'm also putting together charm bags that will encourage sleep, encourage lucid dreaming and prophetic dreaming. So I am really enjoying the studying of dreams and also the practical aspect of it. I'm hoping that eventually I will be able to share some of the spells and the rituals that I've been doing, maybe on here on YouTube or over on my website when I'm done, so do keep a lookout for those as well. So let's have a look at some of the books that I'm using for my dream studies. The first book then that I am using for dreams is How to Interpret Dreams. This one doesn't have a specific author, it's just I think being put out by the publisher, which is Simon & Schuster. And this one is, like I said, about interpreting dreams. So it does have a little bit of sort of basic information at the beginning, but then the majority of it is about anything that shows up in your dreams. So maybe things that are repeated or one-off or anything really. You can just have a quick look in here and it will give you an interpretation of that. So like I said, I think interpreting dreams is always a good way to start. So that's the first one. So the second one then is this one, which is Dreaming Through Darkness by Charley Morley, and it says shine light into the shadow to live the life of your dreams. So this one is actually a little bit of a crossover between shadow work and dreams. So it does focus on shadow work, but there is also a little bit of in it about lucid dreaming and using your dreams in shadow work as well, so that's a little bit of a crossover. So one of the main things that I like about this book is that it's got activities in there, so it's things that you can do, things that you can try, and it's just quite a practical guide, I suppose. So that's really good for me, because like I said, with my dream work I like to be a little bit more practical. So that's the second one. The next one for dreams then is the Dream Dictionary from A to Z by Theresa Cheung, and this one is, like it says on the front, it is a dictionary, so it's set out like a dictionary with the letters of the alphabet, and basically if you have a dream, whatever it is about, you can just look it up. It's all in alphabetical order, and it's just a huge dictionary of interpretations of dreams, what it could mean, and that sort of thing. Okay, I did want to mention another book that I have on dreams, which is also by Theresa Cheung. Now this one I actually read to review from NetGalley, so this book is not one that I bought myself, this is one that I was given for review, that's why it's an ebook. And it's called Night Vision, A Field Guide to Your Dreams. As I said, I have read this one in full, so I do have a review for this over on my website, so I'll put a link to that below if you're interested in this one, and it's really good for understanding the background, the history, the psychology behind dreams, so it is a really good starter guide, and it's set out really, like I said, it like with previous books, in chunks, so it's not sort of all of this information thrown at you, it's really easy to work your way through. Okay, so this one is another one that I do come back to every now and again for my studies. Next then is another easy link to Wicca and Witchcraft, and that is goddesses. So for this I'm exploring different pantheons of gods and goddesses from a range of religions, mythology and other traditions. It's partly for my practice, but also because I just have a general cultural interest in different traditions and different beliefs and deities. The book that I've started with then for my goddess studies is this one by Skye Alexander, and it's called Your Goddess Year. And the reason I chose this one is because obviously it features a lot of goddesses in there, but also the way that it's structured is really useful as well. So it's almost like a goddess a week, so each week it will give you a date to look at that particular goddess, and then it will tell you information that's related to her, things that you can do, so rituals that you can do, inviting her into your rituals, a little bit of history around that goddess. So I just thought that this was a really easy way into the goddess studies, just to have a look at one a week. To be honest, I haven't really been keeping up with it. It's something that I do really want to get back into, but this is just a really good way of getting into it. It's also worth mentioning as well that mythology has played a huge part in this aspect of my studies for gods and goddesses, because they do obviously feature heavily in mythology, and it's something that I really do enjoy exploring. So I recently read a book called Mythology for a Magical Life, and this is by Ember. This wasn't actually one that I was specifically using for my studies. Again, it was one that I got from NetGalley as an ARC, so it's an electronic version that I got for review, but it's one that I'm definitely going to come back to and use in my future studies. It's really good because it blends together the ideas of mythology and storytelling with rituals and spells that you can use to inspire your craft, to enhance your witchcraft. Like I said, I was given this book for review by NetGalley and Llewellyn Publications, so if you want to read my full review, that's already on my website. I'll put a link in the description, but I did really love this one. Lastly, I wanted to mention something that I've only just recently sort of started looking into, and that is Italian witchcraft. At the beginning, I did say that I'm not really reading books that are generic Wicca and witchcraft, but Italian witchcraft is very specific for me, as I want to look at the particular traditions, rituals, folk magic, just general overall history of traditional Italian witchcraft. I'm actually doing this research because I have Italian heritage on my mum's side of the family. So for various reasons, I didn't really know my mum's mum, so my gran, very well. But she is of Italian heritage. Her parents were Italian, so my great-grandparents. I think it's because I don't really know very much about this aspect of my own heritage that I've developed an interest in it, and I want to feel more of a connection with the Italian traditions. So as well as informing and enhancing my Wicca and witchcraft practice, I'm hoping that this will also help with any ancestral work that I do in the future. So at the moment I just have one book that is related to Italian witchcraft, and that is this one, Italian Folk Magic by Mary Grace Fahrun. I hope I'm saying her name right. And I came across this one online, like I said, specifically because it's related to Italian witchcraft, Italian traditions and like folk magic. So it's got, like I said, a lot of repetition in things that I already know, but it does make them specific to the Italian traditions. So for example, if I just look at the contents, it's got things about sacred spaces and home altars, food, superstitions and proverbs, so like that traditional sort of storytelling aspect that I'm really interested in, amulets and talismans that are specific to Italian witchcraft, communication and divination, spells and charms, and lots of other little areas as well that link specifically to Italian traditions. So like I said, yes, this is very new, something that I've only just really started looking into. I'm also looking into getting some books by Raven Grimassi because he is an American Italian witch, and he does have that background, so he's written a lot about Italian witchcraft specifically. But if you do have any suggestions on books on this topic, then please do let me know in the comments, because I'm always open for new book suggestions. Also, if there are any Italian witches out there, if you can point me in any particular direction for this study, then I would be super grateful. Okay guys, so those are the 4 main things that I'm currently studying to enhance and develop my Wiccan and witchcraft practice. So just to recap, I'm looking at astrology, dreams, goddess work and Italian witchcraft. Let me know if you're studying anything specific or new in terms of your Wicca and witchcraft practice. I'd love to hear about those. It might also give me some ideas. I hope that this video has been useful to you and it's given you some ideas for things that you might be interested in studying. Thanks again for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next video.